Inference Plus Story Short number 15, Series A. Moose's new neighbor was what his mother called a character. From the minute he moved in the middle of the week, in the dead of night, Moose had watched him with fascinated curiosity. The guy was fascinating. It was like having a reality TV mystery just on the other side of the fence, and it was quickly becoming Moose's favorite show. He felt a little awkward about his voyeurism. He didn't want to be thought of as some sort of creep, but he found himself unable to tear his eyes away for fear of missing the next installment. The morning after Mr. Aaron Smith moved in, Musa had gone over to introduce himself with a plate of chocolate chip cookies. Musa knocked, then listened as he heard the shuffling feet approach the door. After what seemed like an eternity, the door opened the tiniest bit, and a milky blue eye peered warily out at him. "Good morning," Musa said, holding out the plate of cookies. "I live next door. I'm Musa. I baked you some cookies as a little welcome to the neighborhood present." There was a long, awkward silence. "What's your name, sir?" Musa asked uncomfortably, shifting the plate of cookies from side to side. The wary eye narrowed. Another pause. "Mr. Aaron Smith." Between the speed of the man's reply and his thick southern drawl, Musa almost couldn't understand him. A hand shot out the crack of the opened door and pulled in the plate of cookies. Thank you very much," Mr. Smith mumbled, quickly closing the door. He never returned Musa's plate, and Musa was 99% sure Mr. Smith had used it for shooting practice in the backyard one afternoon. Everyone heard the gunshots and shattering of dishes, along with Smith's excited whooping. The sheriff confiscated the gun, and it didn't happen again. After that first meeting, Musa caught only occasional glimpses of Mr. Smith for the next month. The man had to be in his 80s, but even for an octogenarian, he made very few forays into the outside world. He had his groceries delivered and his prescription medications, too. Twice a week, Uber Eats showed up with Burger King, never anything else. Every other day, Mr. Smith would make a shuffling pilgrimage to the mailbox, dressed in a rainbow of garishly colored velour tracksuits, his thick white hair covered by a low-slung baseball cap, and a pair of huge black sunglasses covering the rest of his face. For the entire 10-yard journey, Smith's head swiveled from side to side with a look of paranoid agitation, until he finally returned to the safety of his front porch, cradling his latest arrival from the Bacon of the Week subscription club. There were other oddities. Mr. Smith liked to sing, and he had a surprisingly strong voice for such an elderly man. Musa often heard him strumming his guitar and soulfully warbling old gospel hymns. His rendition of How Great Thou Art was particularly moving. His two Great Danes, Snoopy and Brutus, sometimes howled along. Musa would have liked to compliment the man on his singing, but the guy was so skittish he decided to simply leave well enough alone. One Saturday, the neighbor across the street threw a graduation party for their eldest daughter, and the street filled up with people and cars. Mr. Smith nearly lost his mind. He hobbled angrily out onto the sidewalk, waving the crystal head of his ebony walking stick at the partygoers and screaming at them that he deserved his privacy just like anyone else. Then he proceeded to smash the party photographer's camera onto the pavement as he screamed, "No paparazzi, do you hear me?" before storming back into his house and slamming the door. It was no surprise when Mr. Smith died. The man was, after all, of a very advanced age. Musa was touched and surprised when the executor of Smith's estate came by with a handwritten note composed by Mr. Smith before his death and a beautifully wrapped gift. The note read, "Dear Mr. Mahmood, you have been a kind and considerate neighbor to me. I know I often treated you unkindly, and for that I am truly sorry. The events of my life had led me to have a suspicious mind, always worrying that others are just devils in disguise, out to rob me of my privacy and peace of mind. Even when I was irritable because I'd been shaken up by something happening in the neighborhood, you were warm to me. As a token of my appreciation, I'd like you to accept this gift. If you don't care for it, I won't be offended. You may simply return it to the center. Your neighbor, Mr. Aaron Smith." Musa unwrapped the box to reveal a pair of beautiful blue suede dress shoes. They were a little flashy for his taste, but he would never return them.